Debbie, Madam Chair, I don't understand. I really don't understand why. You know, we're a fairly sophisticated society. We've changed a lot, and you know, I've changed a lot. People have changed a lot. You know, it's a different world 2024 than it was 20 years ago when I started doing what I do now on 2GB. But 20 years ago, we stopped aerial culling. I mean, we stopped it. I mean, Bob Debus said, let's go for your life. You know, it's a beautiful place up there. Guy Fawkes National Park, let's get rid of those Brumbies and shoot the bloody things. Get them out of the joint. It lasted for a short space of time because the RSPCA, a different RSPCA than the one I see in 2024, said, that's inhumane. That's not right. Stop doing it. And if you don't, we'll hold you personally responsible. You, Mr Debus, and you in charge of the National Parks and Wildlife. So we've come a long way in 24 years, but somehow we've gone back into some vacuum when it comes to killing horses from aircraft. I mean, does anyone in this room really think that it's a better place in 2024 than it was 20? Well, I do. I think it's a better place. But in relation to Brumbies, it's a worse place. Because what was stopped in 2024, and Mr Coleman, I've called this morning for his resignation, his board should sack him for his performance here this morning. He should be sacked. He sent people to that property. They saw a cool room, and they didn't think to have a look inside. And Mr Coleman was, oh, well, yes, that's, you know, they probably should have had a look inside. There were carcasses discovered by Wagga Wagga Council, and the RSPCA charged with protecting animals, Brumbies and the rest of them, including the rat, the broad-toothed rat or whatever it is down there, they're charged with protecting that. They didn't look inside the damn cool room. What are we growing? Strawberries. We're keeping the strawberries cool. The blueberries are in there. I mean, for God's sake, there were beasts in there that have been slaughtered. And they didn't look. And Coleman did. And then the explanation is from Steve Coleman, his performance this morning, disgrace, Madam Chair. Oh, well, they looked at an acre of the 20 acres, but they didn't look at the other 19 acres. Well, they got varicose veins or something. They can't walk 150 metres over the hill and see all the carcasses or the skeletal remains down there. I mean, it is just... You know, I applaud this committee for doing what they're doing, but, I mean, it's a Ripley's believe it or not performance this morning by Mr Coleman, I'm telling you. I just... Point of order. Can't, point of order, good luck to you.
Sorry, there's been a point of order.
Concerned about these insults directed to Mr Coleman.
Can you expand on that?
There's a procedural fairness resolution that speaks to reputational interests that people have. There's parliamentary privilege here. He's a professional.
Well, what do you think I'm saying it for?
Excuse me, please respect the process.
Order.
I can't hear you. Speak up.
Order.
Yeah, you might want to bring your microphones closer.
So he's come along as a professional. He's given evidence this morning. He's now being subjected really to insult and ridicule.
I just will remind the witness just to be mindful about some of the
Madam Chair, I respect your position.
Thank
you very much for your courtesy.
Thank you. I guess I've just got a question, and I know the Honourable Wes Fang has delved into the evidence that we heard by Jewick this morning as well.
Yeah.
I suppose I was particularly shocked, and as you mentioned, that this Ben Talbot, you know, was disqualified for illegally killing a greyhound, and is now on the Jewick Advisory Council, and that he's still on the Advisory Council even though he's been linked to these accusations in regards to the slaughter of these horses. Have you heard any evidence that he was involved in that other than through his brother Adrian at all?
No, I don't have any evidence other than he was the go-between between the slaughter of the horses and the distribution for money to greyhound trainers. But like you, I'm simply astounded that the Greyhound Welfare Integrity Commission would firstly have a representative who has a history of not being a person of some repute, and then when these revelations are revealed, he's still on the same committee, board, whatever it may be called, for integrity. I would have thought that the Greyhound Welfare Integrity Commission board would have said, well, maybe it's time you just stood aside until we find out what happened with the horses being slaughtered in Wagga Wagga.
Just in regards to this long timeline, as I said, it goes back to 2017, some of these complaints. What do you think's happened here? How has this all been sliding through for so long?
Well, I mean, I've asked the same question myself. How we had to wait until 2024, in April of 2024, for it all to be revealed, as it was, I think, on April 19 or thereabouts, I first broke the story. And Talbot was just under the radar, and you know, it's really funny because some people in the initial stages, when I made the claims I made, wrote to me supporting him and saying, oh, he's a great rehomer. And I said, he's a great slaughterer. He's not much of a rehomer. And some of these poor people had sent him horses, not necessarily Brumbies, but horses to be rehomed, and thinking they'd go to a nice home, when in fact they were being slaughtered. And then when it became quite evident, when the council came on the program and said they'd found the skeletal remains of 500 horses, well, then I started to get a different flow of email. But look, some things happen because people con people, some things happen because apathy. But, Madam Chair, I could not offer it seems to me to have gone on for 7 years, and I couldn't offer an explanation as to why. It's just sometimes people get away with things for way too long, and that's what happened here, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like even from hearing from the Environment Minister that there's just been, you know, a huge failure of process and with communications between these major authorities. You know, given what we've had, the Food Authority, the RSPCA, the police, Racing New South Wales, all these authorities involved, and yet, you know, communications just...
Well, the remarkable thing is there was an interview conducted by a young ABC reporter 2 days after we broke the story, and at the time when we knew there were 500 skeletal remains, and I'm not criticising the ABC, the young reporter went there, and this Talbot said, oh no, he said there's 40 horses. He was about, you know, 460 shy. And there was then, you know, oh, well, the council must be making it up and it can't be true. And as I'm sure Mr Thompson, when he appears later on this afternoon, will confirm what he told me on the radio, that there were 500 skeletal remains there. And, I mean, it just beggars belief that it went on for so long. And this is the scary part is we know about 500. Given the fact that we now know it's been operating illegally since 2017, God only knows how many horses, not all Brumbies, of course. I don't know how long the Brumbies were. I think the Minister told me, and I'd be corrected on this, that they stopped sending him Brumbies in July of last year. I think that was the date she gave me. But I don't know how long before that he was getting Brumbies or other horses, because he seemed to be a central figure. You know, when, you know, people move, they go from... One lady did write to me who said she moved from, say, West Wyalong to Coffs Harbour and couldn't take her children's ponies with her. So she left them in the care of someone who said, oh, I know this bloke called Talbot, he looks after horses. So when they finally relocated to Coffs and they got some acreage or something up there, they asked the bloke who they'd given the horses to, can we bring the horses, we'll float them up here. And she wrote to me and said, he said, oh, I gave them to Adrian Talbot. So she started ringing Mr Talbot, and he said, oh, you made excuses, oh, the horses are out in the paddock, I've got to go out and catch them and all this. Finally, his estranged partner, according to this lady, told her that the horses had been killed the week after they arrived there, slaughtered. So she's got to go and tell the two little girls, that their horses aren't coming home because Talbot slaughtered them. And it appears to me that over a long period of time, if you're saying it's back in 2017, this is a method of operation. You know, you park your horse there, and sometimes people don't go back for them. They might have, you know, their children are grown up, they don't want to be, you know, on the ponies anymore and things like that. And it was just a convenient way of parking a horse. You know, I'm moving to a suburban block, I don't have acreage anymore, you know, my circumstances changed, marriages bust up, you know, we can't afford to keep the horses, and they sent them there thinking they were being rehomed and you know, sent somewhere else as a pony club horse or something like that, and they were obviously slaughtered.